Hey guys, so we're back again with another reading, and this one is all about what you're unlocking in your life. So we're going to see what doors you're opening for yourself right now and all the things you're unlocking in this new era of your life. So if you like how I do this reading, you'll definitely want to check out my Patreon where I post additional readings. I just posted one all about what's changing in your life. So that's a great one to watch if you need more clarification on this subject and want to find out more. Check that one out, and I post a ton of readings over there, all different kinds of subjects from romance and love to spirituality. So definitely check it out. Link in my description for my Patreon. And if you really like how I read my cards, you'll want to get a private reading with me, and you can do that at briarrosetarot.com. Link in my description as well for that. I'm currently a bit booked, but I have some openings in the middle of next month. So check that out. You can always book in advance, and then it's always fun to have that to look forward to and kind of have that in the back of your mind that it's happening. So yeah, get your appointment in and we will have that one-on-one reading. So if it's your first pick a card reading, you want to go towards the one your energy is feeling drawn to and called to. A great practice is to ground yourself, take a breath, relax, kind of get into a chill state, and then see which of the cards is drawing you in, and that will be the one that has the message for you. Don't overthink it too much. Just relax and then go for that first instinct. So I'm going to show you guys the numbers on each of the piles. We are starting off with pile number 1, then we have number 2, number 3, and number 4. So if you guys need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need. But we are going to go ahead and jump into pile 1. Hey pile 1, so for your pick a card, you guys got Destiny, and for your tarot, you guys got Judgment, the Magician, Strength, the Ace of Swords, Six of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. So for a lot of you guys, this is a major destiny moment where you guys are really stepping into your destiny, and I feel like it's been a long time coming for a lot of you guys. This is like manifestations that you have put into place and maybe forgotten about, finally breaking through, finally happening. For some of you guys, this has to do with your social media or with some kind of public platform, because we did get the Six of Wands. And so you guys are going to be getting recognition. People are going to be seeing this glow up. I honestly feel with the Three of Pentacles coming out that it's almost like some of you guys are graduating or have graduated and you're no longer learning. You guys are coming into your strength. You guys kind of realize how powerful you are. And I feel like in the past, a lot of you guys would kind of sacrifice your own needs for the feelings of others, or feel like, well, I wish I could say that because I know this situation is wrong and I know I should say something, but I can't really say that. That would be too rude or something like that. And now you're coming into an energy where you guys are so sure of yourself. You have so much power radiating through you that it's like you're not going to let anyone disrespect you or treat you badly. You're going to stand up for yourself. And I feel like that's just not even just within others, but with your relationship with yourself. I feel like you guys are getting very clear on what it is you want. And that's why I feel this destiny moment is happening, is because you're actually finally capable of being like, I want this. Because I feel like in the past, some of you guys, you might have wanted something, but almost you told yourself like, oh, I shouldn't want that, or that's wrong, or that's shallow, or like that, people would judge me if I say I want that. And so now you're like, I don't care if they judge me. I don't care what they say. And I feel like that's what kicks off this era of a lot of power, a lot of strength. And I just heard, you can't tell me nothing. So like you're doing what you guys want. And I really think for a lot of you guys, this is going to be a powerful change. It might be that your life looks a little bit different after you have these downloads and after you're finally able to be honest with yourself about what you want, that suddenly you're not wanting to settle. You're not wanting to pretend that you're okay with something that you're not okay with and turn a blind eye to certain things and pretend that everything's fine when it's not. So I feel like you guys just become a lot sharper, and we did get the Ace of Swords. And so I feel like now you're kind of capable of almost fighting more, honestly. And we did get the Strength card, which is represented by the warrior Gawain in this Celtic tarot deck. So for a lot of you guys, it's like, whereas before in the past you might have run from battles, I feel like now it's like you are unleashing your power, because I feel like a lot of you guys are very powerful, but maybe you were trying to be in that kind of love and light spiritual vibe where you felt like you had to be positive and you had to be nice and you have to be so sweet. And now you're like, screw it. This is what I want. This is me. And I'm not going to let anyone take away my power. I'm not going to let anyone disrespect me, treat me badly. I'm going to stand up for myself whenever it happens. And I'm not going to feel guilty for even a moment. And I feel like they want you to know that your judgment is on point. Like if you're feeling like a situation is messed up, you're right. And that's for a reason. I love the saying and the mantra of all things are happening for my best and highest good, because I do believe that. And I believe we can learn from any situation. And so I feel like you guys, it's almost like you've leaned into that energy where you're just like, I'm not going to let anything hold me back. If it's not what I want, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to go after what I want. And I'm feeling like for some of you guys, you have people around you trying to kind of temper your expectations because it makes it easier for them when you're not reaching for the stars. And I just heard that line from High Hopes by Panic at the Disco, where they say, but I always had like something, it was hard, but I always had a vision. And I feel like that's you guys. Like, I think he's talking in the song about people telling him, what are the chances? There's no chances. And I think he says, I knew it was 1 in a million, but it's like he kept his eyes on that prize. And I feel like that's the vibe where I feel like you are not listening to a single soul. And I love that for you guys. Like, I love that you're not feeling like you need everyone else's approval anymore. You're just doing you. And you are getting very clear on this is what makes me happy. And maybe it doesn't make that person happy. Maybe this person is like, that's crazy because I want this life and I can have that life. And maybe the majority of people don't want what you want. Or maybe you want something very outside the box. Or maybe you want something that people have thrown judgment at for whatever reason. People can be judgmental about whatever. So, maybe there's judgment being directed at you, but it feels like you just do not care. You have these walls up. You're so in your own energy. I'm seeing someone so in their own energy fields that it's like nothing can penetrate in a way. Like you guys, I think, have built up these psychic defenses where someone can tell you something tomorrow and it just goes in one ear out the other, but in a good way. Like you're not listening. You don't care what they have to say. You're not going to let them bring you down. And I feel like because of that, you are going like a warrior towards your goals and your dreams. Whereas before you might have been derailed. You were like set on something, excited, like, okay, I'm going to do this. And you had this plan, and then you go tell like your best friend and they'd be like, really? Well, I don't know about that. That sounds risky. I don't think you should do that. Well, I don't know. Or you told your parents, or you told whoever, and they'd be like, oh, like, I just think that, I don't know, that sounds kind of crazy. What are you talking about? I don't get that. And now I don't even think you would tell people, or if you did, you would just be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And if they didn't agree, you'd be like, okay, anyway, so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, and I think that like what's coming to my mind with that song High Hopes is that, and he said, yeah, something I just keep hearing, but I always had a vision. And I feel like it's sometimes it's easier for people around us when we keep ourselves small, right? Because when we're pushing ourselves outside, sometimes that can bring up feelings of shame in another person. Sometimes maybe they had a similar goal, but they never did it. So then they start thinking like bad about themselves, and they find themselves being triggered, but they're not going to actually process that and deal with it and be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling really triggered and that's why I'm being negative about it, but I'm really happy for you. Instead, they're going to come up with some reason like, well, I don't think you should do that. Well, who do you think you are? Well, blah, 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 because it reflects badly on them, right? And we're all on this planet, even like when we have parents, we all have our own goals, our own thing that we're supposed to achieve. So if someone's struggling with their own feelings that they never did that, they never accomplished anything, and then they have a child that wants to shoot for the stars, sometimes that can make that parent very uncomfortable and very like feeling very like attacked almost, like, oh, so you think my life isn't good enough? Oh, so you think you want better? Well, what about this? This isn't good enough for you, so I'm bad. And it's like this big old mess. And I think so much of the time when people react to things like that, it's their own reaction based on their own life. It's their own feeling of lack of self-worth, or they didn't accomplish something, or being afraid that someone's going to outpace them. And I feel like you guys are realizing that. So as before, maybe you gave people the benefit of the doubt and you would be like, oh my gosh, they're right. It is a problem. I don't have a chance of it. Whatever. Like, I feel like now you guys are just like, okay, yeah, you can think that. Anyway, I'm going to do what I want. I don't know why there's like little noises against my glass. I don't know what that's coming from, but anyway, maybe a confirmation from the universe. Let's get some astro dice and see what energies are at play for pile 1. Spirit, can you give us some astrological energies at play? So we got Gemini, we got the 9th house, and we got, oh my God. Wow, the nodes. Okay, destiny. I'm telling you guys, this is such a destiny moment for you guys. And with the 9th house, what's coming to mind is broadening your horizons. For some of you guys, this might mean travel or moving somewhere. And even if you're staying in the same place, I just feel like, again, the 9th house is the house where we learn about others. We learn about the world. We learn that there's more than one way to do things, that what is really considered the coolest thing ever in one culture is considered not cool in another. That's what's considered like disgusting food in one culture is considered a delicacy in another. That what's considered a nice little custom is considered strange in another, right? So we learn that there's different ways of living, that there's not just one like prescribed way that we all have to stick to, that we all have to do this, that so much of our ideas of things and how we process the world is based on like a cultural script. I was even reading up about this language theory that so much of our ideas of the world is shaped by the language we speak, and even like what kind of tenses people use. It can really affect like things like finances for the rest of their life or for like the entire country. Like I was reading that certain Asian countries, I'm not quite sure, but they don't have as much of like past future tenses. It's just like present tense for everything. So you wouldn't say I'm going to the store tomorrow. You would say I go to store tomorrow, right? And it doesn't really make sense to us in English, but it makes sense in those languages. And they found that a lot of those people have a really easy time saving money and doing work in advance because they don't think of things like, they don't think of it as like, oh, it's just tomorrow, because they're speaking in future present tense. It always seems like they're doing it right then. So they're able to better conceptualize their future, if that makes sense. They're better able to conceptualize the idea that like what they do today is going to affect tomorrow, and that tomorrow is going to come. Whereas us sometimes, you know, who grew up speaking in English, when we have future tense, it seems like a million, like, oh, whatever, I'll be different then. I'll be more responsible tomorrow, and that's when I'll clean my house. But you'll be the same person. And something about not having that delineated future tense allows people to better think of themselves as just one person and going to be the same person today as tomorrow as a month from now. So they're more better at like planning and taking care of things early is what I read. So I heard this on like a podcast a long time ago. So don't like, if I'm wrong about where it is, but I know there's languages that don't have as much future tenses, and apparently it is correlated to better financial decisions and stuff, and not blowing your money and being like, oh, I'll make it up tomorrow. So anyway, I think it's amazing how much those little things influence everything that we do, right? Influence, there's so many layers to like the culture we grow up in, or who we're surrounded by, their beliefs, their thoughts about the world, their thoughts about a million different things. What's respectable, money, what's a good life. And maybe it doesn't match up with yours. And maybe it's not that you're wrong. Maybe it's that they have a different worldview than you. And that's okay. And that's what can be so great about that 9th house, is seeing that there's other people that do things so differently. And it's not that they're wrong or we're wrong. It's that there's more than one way to do things, right? And there's not necessarily one right answer. Maybe for certain things, like big moral questions, there's one right answer. Like most cultures can agree on certain laws, but for a lot of things, maybe there's some nuance, and maybe there's that room for difference of opinion. And I feel like you guys are figuring out that. But for some of you guys, you might be unlocking traveling a lot or moving to a different location and being aware of, like I said, these different cultures, these different values, even maybe moving to within the same country, but you're going to a place where there's a totally different value system. Like you're moving from a small town to the big city, or you're moving from a big city to a small town. And I feel like this is going to be very eye-opening for you guys, and you're going to learn so much. With Gemini as well, I feel like you guys are really speaking up. You're really learning to actually say how you feel and not hold yourself back, because I do feel like a lot of you guys, you'd hold yourself down kind of and not allow yourself to fully speak and to fully speak say your mind, say your thoughts, because you were trying to keep the peace. And now I feel like you guys are like, screw peace, I don't care, I'm gonna say whatever I want. So let's get some more cards and figure out what else is changing in pile one's life, if I can get these cards. Okay, so we got them. Spirit, what's going to change in pile one's life? What are they unlocking? What are they unlocking? Okay, so we got Skybridge, possibility for union. Hollow bone, teachability. Jeweled web, connectivity. So I do feel like for a lot of you guys, some of these changes have to do with your connections to others. So like maybe you'll be meeting people that, again, you're much more in alignment with, that you agree with more on certain issues. Like maybe wherever you move, the culture that you move to will be more in step with your own beliefs and all of that. And I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be learning a lot. Even if you're not moving, maybe you'll be linking up more. I think partially it's because you guys are being more honest. So you're not holding yourself back anymore, and you're not, like I love that poem from Shel Silverstein, and I can't remember the exact poem, but it's all about, you know, there was a girl who was blue and a boy who was blue too, but they both hid it, and they spent their whole lives looking for someone else who was the color blue, and they never found each other because they always hid that, you know. And I'll post, I should just pin that comment or that poem in my comments or something permanently, because I'm always referencing it, but it's so true. And I think it shows the power of authenticity. I'll put it in my description if you want to check out that poem, because it's really beautiful and a great statement about how important it is for us. And I'll post it on my Instagram, so you can check out my Instagram if you want to see that as well. But it's so important for us to be honest, if only so that we can align ourselves with other people who feel the same way about different things, right? And when we stuff ourselves down, I know in relationships, whenever I've had relationships where I've like kept quiet about certain things, and maybe I didn't really agree with something, but then I didn't want to rock the boat, and I wanted to get along, and I wanted everyone to vibe. So I just kind of like keep it to myself and just, you know, smile. And usually it wasn't even like a huge thing. It wasn't like some giant issue. It was just like, oh, like, I don't know if I like that, but no, it's really fun. I'd love to do that. And I just kind of kept that to myself. I kept my feelings, my thoughts to myself for the sake of keeping the peace. And those relationships were never gratifying to me. Even if the people really liked me, even if we did become close friends, I never fully felt like that honest, authentic connection and that like feeling of love and acceptance you get when you feel like you have your tribe and they fully get you and they fully understand you. And in my friendships where we say everything and put it all on the table, there's such a different feeling of that like honesty. It just makes everything so much better, you know, and you don't have to hide, you don't have to pretend. So I feel like a lot of you guys, you're getting aligned more with people that you really like, and they respect you more because you're being more honest and you're being more upfront. Let's see what else comes out of this deck. Are there any other messages for pile one about what's changing in their life? Doors opening. Wow, that flew out. Okay, we got treasures hidden in the shadows, deep diver, diving into a task, and lost in space, needing direction. So I really feel like a lot of you guys might be moving given the world on that card. And I feel like you guys are just, honestly, I feel like some of you guys have been going through a breakthrough or maybe a breakdown. Not a breakdown, but like just joking, but like I feel like it's been an intense period of time for you guys. Like, I'm seeing someone struggling, like, just almost like maybe you guys didn't even realize how much you were struggling. Maybe you guys didn't even realize like how bad it had gotten and how stressed you were and how like, and I feel like that's why I always say everything happens for my greatest and highest good, because I feel like you guys grew through this period. You grew through all the pain. The pain has hardened you into the person you are now in a good way, because it's not that you were too soft, but I think you guys were afraid to fully be honest. I think you guys were afraid of saying truly how you felt. And a lot of that was that tension came from that fear. Like the fact that you guys didn't feel like, okay, I'm just going to tell my feelings. I'm just going to say it. That came from, wait, yeah, I'm confusing myself now. Okay. The feeling of pain came from you being unable to speak up and you twisting yourself into a pretzel to make everyone else comfortable. That's where the feeling of pain came from. And it's funny, I just got confused and like talked myself into like a little hole. And I feel like that's something you guys maybe did. Like maybe you would confuse yourself about something because you would be like, I really wanted to, like, sure, I'll go. Yeah, I'll do this. And then you'd be like, I don't know if I want to go, but I should go. I have to go. I think that's so much of the time is like, this is where I say, and a lot of spiritual people say, you want to shut off the logical brain. It's because the logical brain will have a million messages for you. Like, oh, that's unreasonable. What you're asking for is unreasonable. No, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't ask for that. If you ask for that, they're going to be mad at you. If you say that, they'll argue. And now it's like, you just don't care. You're like, okay, well, they can be mad, but I'm going to say my truth. I'm going to say what I feel. If they don't like it, it doesn't matter. Too bad. Who cares? And so I feel like it's like this finally being honest about things that's really creating this beautiful space for you guys to really focus on yourselves and what you want and be honest. Once we're honest about the small things, we can be honest about the big things. So whenever in our life, when we're like struggling, it's kind of like that phrase, you know, ask the busiest person you know to do something and they'll have it done in like 10 minutes, and ask the like person with the most free time and they won't do it for like weeks. And it's pretty true, I think. And it's like when we get into a habit of making choices, when we get into a habit of being honest with ourselves, then it becomes easier to do other things. When we can be honest about like, okay, even I'm just going to wake up in the morning and I don't really feel like eating, you know, this healthy breakfast that I had told myself I was going to eat. So I'm going to make myself a little thing of French toast and I'm just going to have some. That can be like a way to get more in touch with ourselves deep down, what we really want, taking kind of the rules off ourselves. It's not to say you have to eat 5-10 pieces of French toast and, you know, make it some crazy thing. It's when we're just easy about it and we're like, yeah, I'll just have the French toast then. And just, you know, simple, and like that's okay, and realizing we can have whatever we want, and kind of taking the rules off of like, oh, this is bad. If I ask for French toast, I'm bad because I shouldn't be eating any sugar. Well, why not? Like you can have sugar once in a while, you know. I stay away from glyphosate because it's got chemicals, but you know, there's so many other ways to eat. There's organic French toast. So, you know, as long as we are doing certain things, I feel like it's so great when we can take those rules off ourselves and we can just allow ourselves to just be and get into touch with what we want. Because I think so much, especially on women, but men too, there's so many things we're put on of what we're supposed to do, and certain ages we're supposed to tick things off, and it can really get in our heads like this panic. But when we know that everything's happening in God's divine timing, and also that like God can make miracles happen. I think you guys are realizing that with the magician card. God can make anything happen. So if we, you know, want to imagine that, you know, like how many stories have you heard that are just crazy? I used to love to watch that show, My Lottery Dream Home, because, you know, it's so crazy to me. I feel like there's like really good people on that show compared to like most of the people on HGTV that are always kind of irritating. Like, you know what I mean? When they're on House Hunters, they're always like complaining about like, I don't like the shape of this faucet. And it's like, oh my God, get a new faucet, but go to Home Depot. Like, that's not why you should not buy a house. But the people on My Lottery Dream Home, they never are like the complainer energy. I noticed they're always so grateful. They're always so happy. Usually they'll like invite the host, David, to like come stay with them or like go out to eat with them. Like they're so nice on that show. I noticed that like contrasting that to the people who are on the like regular HGTV house hunters that like seem like they just are looking for like things to complain about. The people in my lottery dream home are like almost, they're just like angels to me. And I feel like that's sometimes the difference between earned wealth and sudden wealth, Jupiter wealth, that you did get the ninth house, aka ruled by Jupiter or related to Jupiter. So you know, that's sudden, benefic, like happy energy. And so when we do things regularly that keep ourselves happy, then we can attract more of that. And what doesn't keep us happy? Shutting our feelings inside, pretending that something that's unacceptable is acceptable, pretending to ourselves that like, no, I love this, when we really hate it deep down and we really think it's disgusting and we want to get out and we like are just completely over the situation, but we keep trying to make it like, no, it's really good, I love it. And we lose trust in ourselves when that happens, because it's like, you know, deep down when you don't like something, you know, deep down when you have like an ick about a situation. And the more you betray yourself in that moment and are like, it's no, it'll all get better tomorrow, everything's good, it's fine, the more your relationship with yourself deteriorates. And you're like, I don't trust her at all. I know I sound crazy because I'm not talking about like multiple people inside, but you know what I mean? We have that relationship with our inner self. And when we shut ourselves up and like try to like tape over our own mouths and our own thoughts and just like smooth over everything, then I think that's where we get into trouble. And then we're trying to manifest, but we are deep down irritated. So I think a big thing that's coming through for you guys is learning to address problems, learning to be honest, and then learning to put yourself in a good place about it. But it's kind of like, once we need to like address the issue, and then we can get into a good place. And we need to give ourselves permission to address the issue. Like sometimes people will be trying to manifest, but a good example of this is like trying to manifest, but they're eating a big bowl of spinach that they hate. And they're trying to manifest being happy and healthy, but the more they eat that spinach, the more irritable they are, the more angry they are, the more like enraged they are. And they're like, I'm happy, I love spinach, but they hate spinach, it's their least favorite food. And if they just went over and had, you know, a small amount of cake, even if they're trying to manifest weight loss, and it put them into a really happy vibe, and they enjoyed every bite and every drop of that cake, they just enjoyed all of it. And they just kept thinking to themselves, oh, this cake is so good, and I'm, you know, getting slimmer with every bite, they'd probably be able to manifest that faster. You know what I mean? And get themselves into an overall higher vibe state. It's about being honest with ourselves. It's about telling ourselves that we can have whatever we want, but we got to figure out what that is first. Sometimes you're just so stuck on I have to eat spinach that you don't even think, gee, a little slice of that cake would really make me happy, because you don't even allow yourself to go there. So you just walk around miserable because all you've been eating is spinach, and you're like about to like internally combust from anger, you know? And if you were just like, I want that cake, I'm gonna eat that cake, then everything would go away. And sometimes we whip ourselves into a frenzy about these certain things, right? That we just give ourselves permission to do it. Just not making such a big deal, just allowing whatever it is. And I'm using that cake metaphor because it's just like an easy one, but we do that with all things in our life, I think, especially women. We're always accommodating others. We're always thinking about others and how is this person gonna feel and what are they gonna think? And if I say no to that, then they're gonna be mad. And if I do this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like just doing what we want. Actually, it might not seem like that's manifestation, but getting really clear and becoming a person that's like, I want this, I don't want that, no, I don't want that, no. And learning to say no strongly can help our manifestations. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, because I know it's kind of confusing, but it makes sense to me, so hopefully. Okay, let's get more cards, some final cards for pile one. What are they unlocking in their life? Okay. Transformation. A fresh new way of living emerges. Wise leader, you are a beacon for others. Voyage of the heart, infinite abundance. So abundance is pouring into your life. Wow. So you guys are going to be manifesting wealth as well. And I just want to say that with wise leader and that 6 of wands, I really do feel like a lot of you guys are bringing in possibly some kind of public recognition, public platform, people really respecting you. I almost feel like people can see this change in your tone where you're more sure of yourself. You're more sure of things. You're not letting other people boss you around. I feel like some of you guys have been so nice and so kind that people kind of take that for weakness, and people just kind of think like, oh, I can just do whatever. They'll just take it. They'll just, and now you're getting much more clear about how you speak, and I feel like that causes respect. People know that you value your time, your energy, and that you're not just going to kind of give whatever away because they want it, even though it doesn't benefit you. So I feel like you guys might be manifesting, like I said, some kind of public platform, public presence of some kind. And it feels really good, and possibly some money as well. But for a lot of you guys, this might mean traveling. This might mean a trip. You are changing who you are on the inside, and I feel like that affects your surroundings. I feel like you're not going to be able to stay in certain situations that are no longer working for you, possibly leaving jobs, possibly leaving living situations or relationships, friend groups. But I just feel like there's an overall change and not settling anymore for what doesn't work for you. And let me get some final cards. You know, I said those were final, but let me get some more. Fork in the road and mending. New life. Oh my gosh, yes, this is a new life. And co-create. And I think you guys are finally, like, I feel like you guys are in master manifestor energy, really. There's so much power coming in through this group. And I feel like you're learning to create exactly what you want. You're learning to, because I think, again, first of all, you're finally getting clear on what you want. In the past, I think you guys would say what you wanted, but you didn't fully lean into it. You didn't fully like believe it or feel like, oh, I can ask for that. So you would always kind of ask like half-heartedly or be like, I think I want this. I don't really know. Now you're like asking with your whole chest. You're asking all the way. And I feel like that just really comes through. People, I think, are going to know how much strength you have. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be facing a decision soon. But for a lot of you, you're going to be capable of making this incredible life that I think you guys have really wanted for so long, and true happiness and figuring out what that is, because the universe can give us what we want, but we've got to become clear on what it is. We've got to become clear and accurate to ourselves about this makes me happy, because we can try to manifest something, but sometimes when we're doing it out of reactionary, like, oh, I dated someone who was really stingy, so now I just want to date someone who has money, and that's the only thing I care about. All I want is money. But is that really what it's about? Maybe it is about money. Maybe that's a factor, and that's fine to ask for. But maybe it's also about generosity of spirit. And if you ended up with someone who had money, but only gave you money, but didn't open his heart to you, you'd be feeling really unhappy. So I think it's just about getting clear on, I want exactly this, saying it fully, meaning it fully, and not just going for reactions to others or what we think we should ask for, but the honest truth. So I hope all this resonates. Pile one, what an amazing reading this was. And if you guys want more clarity on this issue, definitely check out my Patreon about what's changing in your life, because we cover even more of that over there in that reading. And I have additional readings up on my Patreon too. So definitely check that out. And if you want a private one-on-one reading with me, I'm currently pretty booked, but I have some openings in the middle of next month. So you can get your reservation in early and then have that to look forward to. So yeah, that's about it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know how it resonated. I love hearing from you guys as well. And turn on those notifications so you find out as soon as I post. But I'm sending you guys so much love and light, and I will see you back soon in another reading. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then, guys. Bye. Hey, pile two. So for your pick a card, you guys got Earth Spirit Stability, and for your tarot, you guys got the Page of Swords, Seven of Wands, Knight of Cups reversed, the World, Ace of Cups reversed, and the Four of Swords reversed. So for a lot of you guys, this can talk about a completion moment, something that you guys have really wanted to kind of wrap up, that is going to be a very exciting, important moment for you, where you have that sense of getting something done that you've wanted for a really long time. With the world, it can also talk about travel. So you guys might be traveling. One thing that's coming through this reading really strong is kind of a sense of mischief. And I am seeing the Page of Swords upright. And with the Swords cards are kind of communicative, talkative, and take more of a mental view of things. It's interesting that the Knight of Cups is reversed. So for some of you guys, you might be feeling less emotional and feeling like more of a savage is kind of what I'm getting. Like, I just keep getting this mischievous feeling about you guys, like you're kind of up to no good, but not in a bad way. Like that, you know, the Marauders map in Harry Potter, how they would have to say, I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. And they would always be playing pranks and doing stuff like that. That's the feeling I'm getting from this pile. Almost like you guys are up to something, or like a little kid who has planned something. And with that Page of Swords being upright, that can make sense with that. It can be that you guys are even like gossiping or spending time with friends, like just laughing about different things or planning different things. I kind of feel like you guys are unlocking an energy where you're going back to yourself. You're going back to that feeling you had when you were a kid of what makes you happy, what puts a genuine smile on your face, and, you know, what makes you laugh, that kind of a thing. Like, you're not so focused on what other people might think of you. Kind of what's coming to mind with the Knight of Cups being reversed with this energy is maybe that, you know, maybe in the, although it can be sometimes with reversals, they can have the energy of the upright card. And so I could see that being upright as well. But I also feel like there's a message where with the Cups cards, what's coming to mind is that sometimes we feel this pressure to be like so sweet and nice and do things for other people. And I feel like you guys might be kind of learning to be a little bit more selfish and really stop thinking about others' opinions of you, but really thinking about yourself and what you like. I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be embarking on like a new travel or a new trip or a new semester at school or something, and having fun. Like, it's like you're focused on fun. You're focused on what makes you laugh and what gives you a good time. And you don't really care even if it would involve some conflict, like you don't really care. You're kind of like okay with that at this point. I feel like you guys have a lot of pent up energy, to be honest. Like, I could feel like maybe if you guys have been, you know, a lot of people have been having to stay indoors because of all the current events that are happening in the world. And maybe now you're like, I am ready to be out. I'm ready to party. I'm ready to go out to the bars or something like that. But it just feels like there's so much energy in this pile. And I'm literally hearing someone like laugh, and I'm hearing someone just having a good time, you know, and kind of in a mischievous way, like almost like causing a little bit of trouble, but not in a bad way. Just, I feel like we can see the children playing on this card. That's kind of what I'm feeling, is like when little kids like hide your shoe, or when little kids like, you know, play a little prank on their parent or something like that. Like, it just feels like you're getting back to that version of yourself that like to laugh, that like to have a good time. Maybe you've been in a very serious energy where you've had to think about, you know, this earth spirit, this earth energy, where you've had to be thinking about like the material things or a job or getting things done on a very like regimented type of way. And now you're like, oh, I actually have some time to play. I have some time to have fun, because I'm feeling someone laugh, and I'm feeling someone like go out for drinks with friends, or like even maybe something like spending a little too much money, but trusting that you're okay from the universe. I'm not advocating for anyone to do anything financially risky, obviously, but I'm just saying maybe there's an energy of kind of like that childlike trust, or that childlike expectation that like life is going to be a blast. One of the things I love about kids is how you can give them like a cardboard box and they will have fun with it. They'll laugh, they'll play. And I feel like that's what's coming to mind, is you guys making the best of something. You guys, it's almost like your energy is very rushed too. Like, I don't have time to waste. I don't have time to sit around and just like, I feel like there's almost pressure here where you don't want to waste any more time, or you feel like you have wasted time, and you're kind of like, okay, now I want to really make the most of my life. Maybe you've been in like a school program or a work program that was very intensive and you didn't have time to yourself to go out and do what makes you feel good. And now you're like, I'm done with that energy. I'm going to do what I enjoy. Or there's an aspect of being at school or being at work where you can almost cause mischief at school or work. Like maybe there's a club you can join and there's like an annual prank they play, or they always go out and laugh, or they kind of like something mischievous. I just feel there's something mischievous going on in this pile. And yeah, I just think you guys are maybe you felt for a long time like you had to lean away from this kind of cup energy and you couldn't pay attention to what brought you joy, that you were supposed to just be buckling down and working, and not kind of having to just be very rational and disciplined. And now you're like, I'm done with that. I'm not happy. I'm going to go back to what brings me joy. Let me get some astro dice. This is an interesting reading. Oh, okay. So that is the 6th house. Okay. Virgo, house of work. And then we have Taurus and the nodes. So this is a major destiny moment for you guys. And Taurus can talk about luxury, can talk about, the good things in life, good food, good wine, good, all those kind of physical pleasures, all those kind of physical things that bring us joy and delight. And I feel like that's what you guys are leaning into. Maybe you're changing your routine up a little, or changing your diet even, so that you're like, okay, I'm just going to allow myself to have a little bit more of what I like. Maybe it's kind of like, the energy here is kind of like I've been on a strict diet and I'm just finally having a pizza again for the first time in months, or I'm finally allowing myself to have some chocolate for the first time in weeks. Like it feels like that. Like I'm allowing myself to have fun again. And with the 6th house, you guys might have been trapped in it. It also is a body house, like the house of health. And so there might be this health connection that's just coming to mind. But it also could be just being at work and feeling like you have to have a really strict schedule, and suddenly realizing that I don't have to be on a strict schedule. I don't have to do things like everyone else does things. And I don't have to conform to what everyone else might think of me. And there's room here for me to switch things up. Like maybe at your job, you realize that, there's room for like you to take every Friday off, and like they're okay with you working from home. And then you realize that like you don't have to work from home. You can work from your favorite like coffee shop or even your favorite local bar. And you really want to go crazy, those would be some interesting Zoom meetings. But maybe it's like there's a quiet spot in the bar that you can work at and no one's there during the day, but you just feel happy there and you feel relaxed, and you can kind of, start playing pool for like 15 minutes in between Zoom meetings. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is a little far-fetched, but I just feel like there's room for you guys to tweak something, and you're realizing that you have more freedom than you thought. Like you felt very trapped. You felt like you had to act a certain way. And now it's like, wow, I can kind of do things my own way. I can kind of switch things up. So I think you guys are unlocking more freedom in your life. You guys are unlocking some kind of, like openness. And we did get the world. So it could be literally moving jobs, literally moving locations where you live or where you work out, or friend groups. But it could be a major move. It could be a major move, because I feel like you guys are having more openness, having more ability to go where you want, to do what you want, to choose what you want, and not having to live under someone else's terms anymore. It's like, you realize that, I just heard you have no power here. And it's like you realize that the people that you gave power to, maybe you felt really trapped in a certain situation and you said like, but I have to do this. I need this job. I have to be working here. And then you suddenly realize like, no, I don't have to work here. I can work anywhere. I can send my resume out tomorrow and find an amazing new job. Or I don't have to live in this. Maybe you were like, oh, I have to live here. I don't like it here, but all my family's here. And suddenly you realize like, you don't have to live in the same place as your family. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. You could choose to go wherever you want. But I feel like there's some realization where you guys are like, oh, I have a lot more options than I realized. I'm actually pretty free, and now I'm going to do what I want. And now I'm going to have, it's kind of like, have you ever sat down at, this happened to me like last week. was with a friend, and the waiter gave me the wrong menu. So I was looking at the menu and it was literally just the cheese and drinks menu. So it was like that kind of restaurant where they have like a lot of different wines and stuff. So I guess they have a separate wine and cheese menu. And so they gave me that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we could just have wine and cheese. That's kind of nice, but maybe we can order stuff later. And then he's like, yeah, we could do that. Like, I mean, we could. And I'm like, well, do you want something? I mean, we could ask him. And he's like, well, why don't we get this? And I realized he had a totally different menu for me. I was thinking we had to order like Swiss cheese and, you know, and that was the only options we had, was picking between the 3 cheeses we wanted or going wild and picking 5 cheeses. But I realized then that there was all these entrees and all these items we could order from. And I feel like that's what you guys, it's that moment when the waiter's like, oh, sorry about that. Here's the real menu. I got confused. And so you guys are realizing that you have more things to choose from than you thought before. And with Virgo energy coming through, you guys could have been kind of self-critical. And that's the thing about Virgo, is they can kind of whip themselves into a frenzy. A lot of Virgos I know have like anxiety issues where they'll like overthink things to such an extent because, you know, they want everything to be perfect. And so it's like they can really get into a tizzy about something that's really small, that shouldn't even be a big deal, but it's like it really starts bothering them. And I think a lot of that is feeling trapped, feeling like they have to do it right, feeling like it has to be perfect. But it's like also there's beauty in imperfection, right? There's beauty in something that you just give it such positive energy, and maybe it's not technically perfect, but you just pour your heart into it and there's still beauty in it, you know? And I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're realizing the beauty in different situations, and you're kind of realizing that you don't have to make everything perfect, that it's perfect as long as you enjoyed it and as long as you had fun. So with that Taurus energy, second house energy, you know, that's also, Taurus is the type of energy where it's interesting because they're both earth signs, and we did get earth energy here. Earth spirit. So maybe a lot of you guys are earth signs. And I think there's a lot of that evolution in earth signs that I see, where like all earth signs, Capricorn, Virgo, not so much Taurus, but sometimes Taurus too, who will just be overworkers and like work something. And they kind of don't realize that like they can take a break, and they kind of don't want to take a break, but they'll keep working and then they'll get burnt out. And then they finally will generally realize like, oh, I should work a break into this. I should make some time for myself. And then they can kind of lean into this Taurus energy, which is like, yes, I'm still going to get stuff done, but I'm also going to take time for me. I'm also going to relax. And if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Maybe you guys have been missing out on sleep, or I could also see this energy coming in as like you not wanting to get sleep because you love your life. You're so invigorated. You just have so much energy for things. You're just like, I want to be up all night. And then I love doing this, and I'm just having so much fun. Let me get some more cards for you guys. Let's see what else is coming through for pile 2. What's coming through for pile 2, Spirit? So we got crown games, right use of power, caterpillar, opportunity. Okay, let's see what else. With crown game, right use of power, it could be that people have been playing like power games with you, like almost like people who, like, because I just feel like this sense of mischief throughout this reading, almost like hidden energy or something. It could be that you've had to be around very shady people, or yeah, I don't know. And it's almost like you learn how to play the game. You learn how to like clap back, or you learn how to like, you know what? I know how to mess with you. You want to play games with me? Let's play kind of vibe. I don't know. But I just feel like you guys are having fun. It doesn't feel like you're stressed out anymore. It feels like you figure it out. You guys might have felt really drawn to pile 1 because I'm getting pile 1 vibes from this. So if you felt drawn, definitely watch that because I feel like it would have some clarity for you as well. Let me get more cards. There's some major wealth energy in this pile as well. We got Dragon Sword protecting the future, Caterpillar opportunity, Dust Devil moving out of stagnation. So I feel like, yeah, Spirit of the River movement towards adventure and Dust Devil moving out of stagnation. I love those for you because that's the vibe. Like, I feel like you guys are really having fun, really enjoying and pushing yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone, which I really like. Like, if you felt in the past like you had to do things a certain way, it feels like I'm literally seeing someone with a mask taken off and they finally realize their freedom, their power. It's like I'm seeing someone who, they're like looking at a map through like a little portal, like a little hole or something. And then suddenly they take it away and they realize, oh, the map's that big. Like the map is the size of this table. And they're finally aware that they can choose whatever. So maybe you're even thinking of making a move and you realize that you have way more options than you thought. Maybe you're realizing like, oh, I don't have to go there, or I could make it work like this. But I feel like you are really taking the blinders off in a very deep way. And kind of like learning to play the game of life. Like you're learning to treat it as a game. You're learning not to be so serious about things. Because I do think when we have such a serious energy, we can block manifestations. When we take things so like harshly and we're just like, it has to work, it has to be like this. Like, you know how sometimes maybe you've had, like, I feel like as a girl, if you've ever had a guy ask you out, but he's like way too intense and way too serious about it. And he's like, I'd like to take you out on a date. And you're just like, oh my gosh, probably, I think I'm booked the whole rest of the week. Sorry. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like that feeling where someone's coming in with such intensity. And even though you appreciate the vibe that they want to go on a date with you that much, you're also just like the seriousness of it. It just makes it like not fun. You just feel like you're being called into like the principal's office or something. It's like, wow, okay, this is a little intense. Calm down. And I feel like that's like you guys have learned that from the universe. Like you're kind of realizing that you don't have to fight so hard for things. You can just expect the best. You can just be lighthearted. And I feel like that's going to show you more options. I think that's one of the best ways to manifest is to just put yourself in a high vibrational energy, feeling joyous and then paying attention to what makes us feel joyous. Like sometimes it might not be what you expect. I mean, usually whenever someone falls out of the habit of exercising and then gets back into it, they're always blown away like, dang, those endorphins are really strong, because you don't expect when you're going to the gym for the first time in 3 months that you're going to feel amazing after. You're like, oh God, I have to go to this gym. But it puts you in a really happy vibe. So maybe it's like, you know what? I want to go and live in a place where I can have easy access to hiking trails. So I'm going to move to, I don't know, some really outdoorsy city that has a bunch of hiking trails. Maybe like LA has a lot of those or something like that. Or maybe you're like, I'm a really sociable person. I want to live in a place where there's a lot of opportunities to socialize. So finding a place where, you know, there's a lot of like people your age who live there, and that you can maybe move into a community that has like happy hours all the time or something like that. But I just feel like we need to pay attention to like, I feel good after this, or I feel bad after that, right? So like, I feel good after meeting with a friend. Okay, I'm going to try to do more of that. Even if it's not my 10-year plan and I don't really see the point of, it's not really, see, this is like earth energy where they can be like, what's the point of this with everything, you know? Very like, okay, does it benefit me? No, then I'm not doing it. But sometimes just doing something for the sake of feeling good for that moment, going into that kind of cups energy, I think is a really good thing. And with that Page of Swords, I feel like you guys are being very decisive and being very clear on it. Like you are starting to think about, I like this, I don't, and being very brass tacks about it. Like either it works for me, either it doesn't. And I think you're getting very clear about what kind of future you want. So I feel like you guys are, for a lot of you guys in this pile, you're unlocking more activity in your social life, more vivid of a life, going out more, having more fun, being more connected to the world, seeing more things, challenging yourself in that way, like not just being holed up and working, but like, I'm going to be out in the world, enjoying myself, having a laugh, you know, having delicious food that really makes me happy. That's such second house energy. And yeah, just like taking the time out to realize that like we get one life, right? And it's not just about like checking off goals and accomplishing things, but I feel like you guys will do a lot of that anyway. We did get the world, but also about how our life looks on the day-to-day life. Like, I know for me, I think back to so many different eras in my life or different places I've lived, and I'm like, wow, I didn't appreciate that like amazing tea shop on the corner. I can't believe I just would go there and just kind of be in a bad mood and just kind of order tea and just, like kind of take in like the beauty of like the surrounding area, but just kind of shrug it off and then walk back to my apartment, and now I'm like, wow, I loved that place. It was so cute. And we all have memories like that, right? Or we all have things that you look back and you're like, why didn't I appreciate that more? That was amazing. I'm seeing like, actually, they're showing me the honeysuckle at my like elementary school growing up. They had the most amazing like grounds to the school, like multiple playing fields, and there was all these little corners where you could go like kind of hide away, and there was like these little clearings in the woods, and they would always have honeysuckle blooming, and it was so pretty. And I was like telling my friend this random story about something that from like elementary school, this funny story, and they were like, wow, what a beautiful school it sounds like. And I was like, it really was. I never appreciated it at the time. I just thought it was like a school, like this is what all schools are like. And of course, there's plenty of schools that have beautiful grounds, and there's plenty of ways for things to be beautiful. It can be beautiful in the desert, in the woods, wherever. But I look back now and I'm like, wow, those honeysuckles, I remember when they would bloom and it would smell so good. And I just feel like we have a tendency as humans to do that, to just rush through things and not really take it in and not really like appreciate that moment and smell the nectar in the air and feel the sun against our skin and take in how special each moment is as a moment of time. Like, it's also interesting how much time we spend, like, or at least I like history. So like, you'll be reading about history stuff and you'll be like, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool they did that back then. Wow, what a cool life. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's so interesting. But we don't even realize that like we're living in history and that we breeze through a million things. And if you've ever had a grandparent like sit down and tell you about like, well, then we did things like this back then, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow. But we're living in history too, but we just take it so for granted. We barely pay attention. We just kind of do things and then like process it later. And I feel like one of the things in life, if you can, is to just, one of the best things is to live present in the moment and to realize how special, incredible, and how much of a miracle everything is as it's happening right then, rather than just taking it for granted and processing it later. So I feel like you guys are starting to do that and really creating a life where you're present in the moment, where you're enjoying things as they happen, where you love your life and you are invested in it, and you aren't just focused on achievement, but you're focused on, how do I feel? How do I feel good? Do I feel bad? Let me get some more cards for pile 2. But I do feel like you guys are also going to get some good financial opportunities, and it's almost like it's going to come and you realize that. So, or maybe you have some more money right now, so you have more room to figure out what it is you want. We got in the flow. Everything is smooth sailing. Choosing your path, all is possible, protected by angels. Yes, that's what you guys realize, is that all is possible. That's so the energy. Like, I feel like you felt trapped and you realize you were free the whole time. Kind of like, I've heard stories where like they'll open a bird cage, but they don't fly out, because they're so used to being in the cage. They're just like, oh, this is where I live. This is just how it is. They don't realize that the door's open. You can fly out anytime. And I think this is your energy, pile 2, where you're flying out of that cage. You are taking, your life in your hands and choosing that path and being like, I don't have to stay between the lines. I don't have to color between the lines. I can make whatever kind of painting I want. I can create exactly the kind of life I want. And if it doesn't look like everyone else's, that's okay. And starting to trust more. Like, I feel like there's a boldness here. There's a very unafraid energy with you. So it's almost like maybe you were fearful in the past, or you would get nervous about certain things and feel like, oh gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Oh no. And you would get let your anxiety get the best of you. And now you're not letting anxiety creep in at all. You are like believing that you're protected and that it's all going to turn out okay. So you're a lot more bold. You're a lot more willing to do the things you want and trust that it's going to work out with everything is smooth sailing. Let's get more cards for pile 2. Spirit, can you give us more cards for pile 2? Okay, we got, I'm telling you, you guys might, probably you're traveling. Vast vistas, expand your horizons. Okay. Let's see what else. Wise leader, you are a beacon for others. And pile one got that. I really feel like you guys felt drawn to pile one. Embracing enthusiasm. Yes, all these cards are so perfect for you guys, pile two. I feel like you guys are figuring out what makes you enthusiastic and what makes you feel really good and what makes you feel joyful, and you're doing it. You're not second guessing it. I feel like in the past you would be like, yeah, I do like this, but I shouldn't do that. You know, I do love chocolate cake, but I have to eat this. And I was telling pile one a metaphor with that. Like if you force yourself to eat spinach because you're like, I have to be healthy, but you're the whole time you're angry, your body's being flooded with cortisol, you're in a bad mood, you keep thinking to yourself like, oh, this is so hard, food is so gross, I'm so miserable, I don't like my body, as you're eating that spinach. You know, and maybe your goal is like, I want to lose a couple pounds or something. So you're trying to eat spinach to accomplish that. And the whole time you're having these negative things in your mind. But if you just ate like that cinnamon roll or that chocolate cake that you wanted, the whole time you were enjoying every morsel and telling yourself, wow, like life is so good, life is so delicious, I eat whatever I want, I always feel my best, I always enjoy my food, everything, you know, my body looks amazing, I'm always looking my best, whatever it might be, and just feeling high vibe while you enjoyed every bit of that cinnamon roll, you'd probably be a lot healthier, even though, you know, maybe the spinach is a lot healthier technically, but if you really want that cinnamon roll, that telling yourself that and keeping yourself positive and happy and feeling good is going to be so much better for you in the long run, and it's going to accomplish your goals. So for some of you guys, maybe it's about being less strict. It's about figuring out what stirs your heart and makes you feel alive. And I feel like you are unlocking some travel or moving, changing. A lot of you guys are going to be packing up and moving. But it's also like, I just feel like a general situation where you are starting to get really clear about your own desires and not letting anyone tell you anymore that you shouldn't feel that way or you shouldn't want that or you have to want this or that. This is a very empowered energy. You guys are really getting clear about your own voice and finding your voice, and that makes sense with the Page of Swords. So you're not afraid to kind of speak up, say what you want. And I always think with the Swords energy is that it cuts through things really clearly. And that can be for better or worse, because it can be some negative cards in that suit, but it also can be, you know, that clearing of things that we need to clear out. Like you need to cut your hedges, you need to cut off the dead parts of like a plant if you want it to be healthy. You need to sometimes cut, because that allows for more growth and room, even though it might not look that way, and cutting to the core of an issue, right? Like getting very clear to ourselves. Because I think so much of the time we see, and I mean, I'm a Pisces, that's like the king energy of doing this. Us and Libra is being very indecisive and being like, well, I kind of want that. Well, maybe this though, but if I do that, then this, getting very confused, kind of confusing ourselves. Instead of just getting very clear about, I want this, I like this, that's what I want, that's what makes me happy, and then I'm going to have that. And I also think another way to do that is to, if we're not sure what we like, again, like I was saying, just paying attention to what makes ourselves feel good, putting ourselves in a high vibe place, putting ourselves in a high vibe energy where we're feeling on top of the world and we're excited and we're joyful. And then allowing whatever resonates with that energy to step into our lives. So I do feel like you guys are bringing in travel, a move, a change, but in general, a lifestyle where you're able to align with feeling happiness, feeling joy, feeling good, and no longer tolerating, I've just got to keep this horrible 9-to-5 job that I hate because I have to get a paycheck and I have to show up at 9. Well, maybe there's a way for you to why can't I talk? Work outside of the office. Why was I saying meet? And find a way to work from home, or go to your local store, coffee shop, whatever, and work from there, and just find the path that's going to bring you joy and make you feel good. And I feel like you guys are doing that and you're not tolerating the BS anymore. So it's a really positive reading. I'm really happy for you guys. And I think this is going to be such a great energy for you to go into the rest of the year with. So I hope it resonated, guys. Let me know if it did in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want more readings from me, you can check out my Patreon, where I post additional readings. And I just posted one all about what's changing in your life. So that would be a great one to check out if you like this reading and want additional clarity. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm sending you so much love and light. Oh, and if you want a private reading with me, you can also check out my website for that and get one-on-one time. I am booked up for the rest of this month, but I have some openings next month. So book it in advance, and then you can always look forward to your reading. But yeah, I hope this resonated. I'm sending you lots of love and light. Thank you guys for subscribing, and I'll see you very soon for another reading. Take care. Bye. Hey, pile three. So for your pick a card, you guys got Courage. And for your tarot, you got the Lovers, the High Priestess, Seven of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, and the Six of Swords. So you guys have a lot of blessings coming in across the board. We have a ton of positive cards. But to start off the reading, I want to talk about the High Priestess, because I do feel a lot of you guys are leveling up spiritually, gaining more spiritual knowledge that's going to help you a lot in life. Your guides are telling me that you guys have always had these spiritual gifts to a certain extent, but what's really changing is you guys deciding to put active work towards learning it, and also trusting it, really trusting it, not thinking about it as a coincidence, not thinking like, that's weird that I just saw that dragonfly, just land on my windowsill all of a sudden. It's just, oh, that's cool, whatever, anyway. But actually thinking like, what message are they sending me? Or that's, oh, I just had a random dream of my aunt who passed a few years ago. But yeah, it was just, I think I was just thinking about her before bed, and that's why. Like, you're really trusting yourself and your visions and understanding that you do have these gifts that have been there all along. And if you guys already are doing something like tarot or meditation, I feel like you're gaining more power and learning to do it more intricately, and learning about exactly how to do it in like a better way, or learning different techniques. But I feel like you guys really are working on this field, and they are saying you guys are truly leveling up and getting more and more spiritually powerful every day, and really becoming a force to be reckoned with. And it could even lead to you guys making a lot of money with that Nine of Pentacles, because a lot of you guys are manifesting a lot of things. I can see love, I can see money, I can see overall happiness. So there's a whole lot coming in, and it does make sense, because as we level up spiritually, we become more aware and able to listen to the signs. So we might put a manifestation out there of like, I want to fall in love, but then we get a maybe urge like, you should go out to this bar at this time, and why don't you just go grab a drink there, on Tuesday, and we discount it and we think like, oh, well, I think I just need to get out of the house, but I'm going to go for a jog instead of listening to that intuition, and instead of listening to that guidance. And I feel like you guys are trusting the universe more and letting them take over, and putting your manifestations out there, and then trusting that it's going to happen, and paying attention to the messages you get. So because of that, I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be manifesting some money, possibly love, but it feels like there's a really strong energy with you guys of just trust. Like, you guys are not in a hurry. You're not stressing about like, when is it going to happen? It needs to happen now. But you're kind of like, I want it to happen, but I also trust the timeline, and I know that everything is going to work out, and I know that it's all happening for my greatest and highest good. And I feel like that's why you guys are going to get it all, because you guys are unlocking, some of you, really deep, intense relationships, and just overall life satisfaction, having more money, having success. But the energy I keep getting, maybe some of you guys do stuff to keep yourself high vibrational, or you pay attention to your mood and you manifest that way. But I just feel like there's a lot of patience and there's a lot of trust coming through right now in this pile. Like, you guys understand that there is divine timing at play, and you're not going to sweat it if something seemingly bad happens, because you're going to understand that it's all working for your best good. So I feel like a lot of you guys, you've left behind you're starting to like prune also as well dysfunctional people out of your life and really leave them behind. Like really the energy here is very peaceful, if I'm being honest. So a lot of you guys have made choices to move into a peaceful energy. And if you're not there yet, you will be. But you have made choices to start taking people out of your life that don't add to your peace. Like if they don't make you happy, if they don't bring you joy, if they don't make you feel good, you're not going to make time for them. You're not going to like, again, I think this is about trusting your intuition. You're not going to lie to yourself and tell yourself like, oh, well, they're kind of nice. And I know like I never really feel good after I hang out with them, but like they are actually cool deep down. And I think so much of the time when we have dysfunctional relationships, that's what we're doing. We're lying to ourselves. We're trying to, look on the bright side about someone, or we're lonely. So we want, a friend. So we put up with something that maybe we shouldn't tolerate, or maybe we know just isn't the right fit. Even if they're not a horrible person, maybe it's just not the right fit for us. And but we don't want to admit that, so we kind of try to fit it into our lives. And I think the real level up when it comes to intuition is understanding that not everything is going to be in your divine timing. So I've mentioned this before, and it's so stupid, but it always happens with my grocery delivery for some reason. Y'all who also order grocery delivery will know how like bizarrely maddening it can be. I don't know why it's so like irritating when they get everything wrong or whatever, but whenever I have the intuition of like, you shouldn't order this grocery delivery, it's always when, like it always happens to be at the time when I'm like out of groceries. Probably because if I was getting that intuition when I still had a bunch of groceries, I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to order it later. I feel it's a no. But it's always when I'm like out of groceries and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I need food. I want to cook this. So I'm just going to order it anyway and like it'll be fine. And without fail, every single time there's a big problem with the grocery delivery. Like I only eat organic and everything that's delivered will be non-organic. So I can't eat any of it. Something like that where I'm like, why did I even order this? Like, what, this was such a waste of my time, And the thing is it's in that moment I really want groceries, so I'm just like, I'm gonna do it anyway, but it's not the right timing. And if I was to just wait and maybe that night be like, well, I do have some things, I could make something with the stuff in my cabinets, or I'll just order my favorite takeout, I'll just do that. Then that would probably be a better solution. And so I've leaned into doing that more now, where I just trust 100% if they say no, but not every time, because sometimes I'm still like, I really need groceries. And so the thing is getting into that energy where we trust 100%, because it's kind of like the groceries aren't ready for whatever reason. It's not the right shopper, or it's just not, maybe they don't have the thing I really need in stock, but they'll have it the next day, or there'll be a better shopper the next day who will get everything just like I ordered, and everything fantastic produce. So the thing is, sometimes it's about having that patience and just understanding that our manifestations will come at the right time. And when we try to rush it because like, I need it right now, or oh, if I don't get it now, I'm not going to have enough time. There's always enough time in the universe. So sometimes we stress about like, I need to get married before this age, or I need to have money before XYZ, but trusting that everything will come in with the right timing, with the divine timing, I think is so key. And I feel like you guys are figuring that out. And this is where you're going to get more manifestations and blessings, is because you're trusting this timing. You're understanding that the visions you're getting or the intuitions you're getting about, wait on that, is coming from spirit. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, I feel like you guys are my pile that if you suddenly felt called to move across the world, you would do it. Even if you're like, why am I going here? You would do it. Or if you felt called to randomly go to like a restaurant and you hate that kind of food. Maybe it's like pizza and you hate pizza and you don't even eat gluten or something, but you're like, okay, I just feel like I should go in here. You would do it, And I feel like that's where you guys are going to get blessed in the right time, with the money, with the relationship, and with these beautiful, happy life. Let me get more cards to see what else pile 3 is unlocking. What is pile 3 unlocking, Spirit? What is pile 3 unlocking? What's pile 3 unlocking? Freedom. Wow. Expansion. Oh, wow. And knowledge and renewal. I think a lot of you guys in this pile might have left behind or be leaving behind a toxic situation of some kind, like in the past. And I think this happens with a lot of spiritual people. Maybe you tolerated bad behavior, because I often think people get attracted to empaths because empaths are so understanding and tend to be kind of like an emotional shock absorber. Like if someone's stressed and in a bad mood, just like you, if you're spiritual, you know, you can grab a crystal or take a spiritual bath and diffuse, and you know it'll go away. Same with like if you have a lot of toxic energy, you know, you can just find an empath and they'll just absorb it all, and then you can be cleared and they have to take it. And so, you know, they tend to attract kind of toxic people who might know that on a subconscious level, but are kind of selfish and don't really care. And they're just like, oh, yeah, they'll take it. Like, I'll just dump this on them. And so I feel like a lot of you guys might have been in relationships where you did have people who were takers from you and would just take your energy a lot. And I'm getting a message. I just heard selfish, and I'm hearing Selfish by Britney Spears. Like, you guys have gotten a lot more selfish, but in a good way. You're being a lot more self-centered, again, in a good way, where you're actually paying attention to how you feel, and you're unlocking the kind of life where you're paying attention to your wants, your needs, your desires, and not everyone else's. And so I do feel like this pile, you guys are going to be unlocking wealth and abundance. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of like I'm hearing slow and steady wins the race. So like kind of the tortoise and the hare, how the tortoise wins the race even though the hare is going super fast, because it takes it slow and it stays focused. And I feel like that's what you guys are doing, where maybe some of you guys were stressed because people around you were in relationships or were making a lot of money, and you felt like, why hasn't it happened to me? Or I'm not going to have the time. But I feel like a big thing you guys needed to learn anyway was how to not, like, come into your own power, how to not tolerate those around you who might be users or who might be takers from you. So now in your future, you've done a lot of that shadow work, and you're going to attract the kind of partner who is very like loving and sweet and understanding, and isn't just a taker. And if you're already in a relationship, I see that relationship just getting better to get and better, and you guys becoming, you know, like really intense, deep partners. Because there's a really strong message in this pile that like age is just a number, and that you're not letting age hold you back. Maybe some of you guys in this pile are a little bit older, or like, I don't know, or there's something where you guys were stressed. Even, you know, 18-year-olds will be stressed about like, oh my gosh, it's too late for me to do XYZ. And it's so funny to hear. But I think everyone stresses about time. And I feel like in this pile, you know that you have all the time in the world. And honestly, sometimes I think with God's timing, and when you're really in alignment with spirit, you have like a different time zone for yourself. Like, I'll notice certain people will age really well, like who are walking in with spirit, like who seem to be really having a bright light to them. Like, you will guess that they're like 20 years younger than they are, you know? So I feel like they have a different timeline, and it's almost like physically they're aging differently because they are vibrating very high or something. I don't know what it is exactly, but I've noticed that with certain spiritual leaders or spiritual people, is just like when they seem to have almost a youthful quality permanently about them. And I feel like you guys understand that there's no like, I have to do it by a certain point. And so I feel like you guys are going to check off all these things. And a lot of you guys are leaving behind the strife, the stress, the tolerating of bad behavior, and the like making excuses for people around you because you knew they weren't as advanced as you. You knew you were the high priestess and they kind of needed guidance. So you would like give them a pass. And now you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste my energy. You're taking back your energy so strongly and becoming like this powerhouse. Like, I really feel like you guys are gaining so much wisdom, or you already have, but you really are at a point where you are a force to be reckoned with, and where you're pretty much like unstoppable is the word that comes to mind. Let me spin the astro dice and see what kind of astrological energies are at play with pile 3. Spirit, can you tell us what astrological energies are at play with pile 3? Wow, so we got the 6th house, we got Leo, and we got the sun. So we got 2 sun energies. That's crazy. So with the sixth house, that can talk about have your work, your daily life, your health. And it's funny, I was just talking about physical body aging, and we did get the sixth house, which rules the body. And that also relates to Virgo. So we have major Virgo and Leo energy coming through. But yeah, I feel like some of you guys, like, you are unlocking, honestly, looking really good at like an older age or aging really well. Like, I feel like this pile, you guys probably get mistaken for being younger than you are. People probably are like, are you in college? What school do you go to? And you're like, I'm 31, or, or you're in your 50s and someone's like, oh, are you do you want to join our like 35 age group thing? And you're like, I'm a little past that. But I just feel like you guys are going to be looking really good for a long time, because you honestly, and it's funny because we did get the sun and Leo, and that's really energy is in the sun. It's contained in the sun. And I'm hearing that you guys are a natural source of energy, and you used to give that away to so many people. Like, you guys are naturally maybe happy-go-lucky, naturally upbeat, naturally positive, and you guys used to give that away to everyone around you, and you used to just kind of needlessly give it away very like carelessly and hope that, like, I hope they'll appreciate it. Well, I'm just gonna bless them with my happiness, and like, maybe they'll like it and maybe they won't, but whatever. And that's a beautiful energy. But I really see you guys actually becoming more empowered to be like, if you're not giving me any energy back, then I'm out. Basically, I'm gonna make sure I do protect my own energy, and I'm not just gonna give it away to someone who's like really ungrateful for it. I am going to look after myself and step into center stage. And I really feel like in this pile, a lot of you guys have cast away and like pruned relationships that weren't working for you, people who were just takers, and you're starting to keep track. I'm seeing someone actually do the math, and we do have a lot of like knowledge energy coming through, and I feel like a lot of you guys are doing math as far as yeah, a lot of you guys are healing from heartbreak, and a lot of you guys are doing the math of like what I get in a relationship and what is taken away. And I'm seeing literally like add and subtraction signs, and you're like putting people into categories. Like, this is a subtractor, this is an adder. I get from this, I lose from that, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Like, basically, I'm done with that. And if you want to take from me, then you can't really be in my life anymore. Sorry, I have to look after myself. So I feel like, yeah, this is why I keep getting like powerhouse, center stage energy. Like, you're finally, instead of, I feel like in a way, this pile was always very powerful, but you guys wanted to give your energy to others. You're very compassionate, pile three. And so I think you guys would like feel sorry for someone and just give to them and just try to help them and just like look after them. And it's like spirit's like, you could have given so much more of that energy to yourself. And with this renewal card, it might be that you guys are finally protecting your energy and kind of going into a place of emotional renewal yourself, where, like I said, you're not just exhausting yourself and pushing and giving and giving and giving. You're like allowing for yourself to kind of recharge. I'm seeing a battery recharge. And maybe you guys have felt called to be in hermit mode lately or something, because I do feel like you've been stepping away from certain relationships and getting a better mark and a better handle on what you deserve. And sometimes when people grow up with like dysfunctional families or whatever, they can be very unaware of like what relationships are good and healthy and what relationships are not, because they're used to relationships with takers. I think sometimes parents that don't do the inner work before they have kids, they can just use their children as like again, that energy sponge thing. Like, it's like if someone's a mom, but they haven't worked through these issues, when they have a child, they might rely on their child for like emotional support in a way that's unhealthy, because a child just needs to be a child. So instead of them being like, let me go to a therapist and talk with them about that, maybe they'll rely on their kid and complain to their kid all the time and talk about their problems, and the child becomes thinking that in all relationships that's the norm, that they have to give and help people, and it's always this one-sided kind of energy exchange. And I feel like you guys are really, you've been unlearning. Maybe some of you guys have been in therapy, but you're unlocking these kinds of relationships that are actually going to be really beautiful. And oh my God, I just got the most beautiful download feeling that some of you guys, you never thought you were going to find a good relationship or love. You were like, oh yeah, that's for other people, but it's not for me. Like I don't get a relationship like that. I'm just kind of doing my best in this lifetime, but like I know I'm not going to find like Prince Charming. And I just got the message that you guys are in this pile. It might not be right away, but like I think you guys know that you're okay with the timing. And this is a general reading, so it could be different timelines for you guys. It could be happening soon. It could be far off. I'm getting it's different times for different people in this pile, but I want to spin the astro dice one more time. Actually, they're telling me to spin it one more time. Can we get more astrological knowledge for pile 3? So we got Cancer, wow, 6th house again, and Pluto. So that is, again, that health house coming through. And I just am getting the vibe that a lot of you guys have been doing this healing. And with Cancer, that relates to the 4th house of family. It also relates to moms. So it's funny I brought up a mom as an example. It doesn't have to be that, but I just feel like in a lot of your relationships, you learned some unhealthy vibes or power dynamics where maybe, and that can relate to Pluto, where maybe you guys were the givers and there were takers and people didn't appreciate you, or they scapegoated you, or they were maybe even a little jealous of seeing you shine brightly. And if you tried to be selfish and focus on yourself, they got offended. Pluto also has to do with trauma. So I do feel this is a lot of trauma work that you guys have been doing. And it's like your spiritual powers have become heightened as a result. And I know maybe you guys are like, okay, so this is kind of a depressing reading because you're talking about trauma and like difficult things and like where's the happy vibe? And but it is so happy, but we got to go through the shadow work and kind of clear out the dirt to get to the beautiful stuff. It's kind of like if you decided to redo your apartment, but you never cleaned it. You literally never cleaned it once, and there was like a layer of dirt on the floor and like old food on the counters, and you went in and you bought like a new set of flowers, and you bought a beautiful new like vase and some new little accoutrement for the kitchen, like little, decorations or whatever, new curtains, but like the whole house is a complete and utter mess and looks like disgusting. Then no one's going to notice the vase. They're going to be like, why is there grime coated on this floor? Like, this needs to be cleaned out, And so actually it's all about the cleaning that really makes the big difference. You can keep probably the same kitchen and it's going to look better if you just clean it versus if you keep it dirty but brought in the most amazingly expensive stuff, It's all about that cleanliness and like getting rid of the old dirt and grime. And I feel like you guys have done that in your life. So when you have this relationship now, it's going to be freaking amazing. And you guys are going to get to bring in whatever you want. And it's kind of like you've had this blank slate now. Whereas so many people just go through life carrying baggage and trauma that they never let go of. And you guys have done the work to clear it out. And so now you can really choose, where do I want to go? It's like if you've ever tried traveling, but you have a bunch of heavy bags. It's really hard to go places. Like my friend and I traveled through Europe with our bags, and we'd have to like run to the train station, and she in particular like went crazy buying all this stuff, and she had like these 2 huge bags, and it was such a nightmare getting that stuff around. She'd like kind of like ask guys to like bring it to the top of stairs for her and stuff. She's way more trusting than me. I would not let anyone touch my bag when I'm traveling. But anyway, but it's like this big hassle, it's this huge deal where you have to think about like, okay, maybe there's an elevator there. We can go here. Whenever we had to like move hotels or we were traveling to a new place, it was always like this big ordeal. And, when you're it's such a relief whenever you go drop your bags off in the hotel and you put all your stuff away, and then you can go out and be free, and you can go wherever you want, and you feel that freedom like so strongly because you were just lugging this huge bag down like the sidewalk, and now you're free as a bird. And I feel like that's you guys. Like, you dropped your bags off, you let them go, now you can do whatever you want to do. And I really feel like you guys are going to make the kind of family you want and the kind of life you want that's going to bring you so much happiness, because we did get the 9 of Cups. Let me get some more cards for you guys. Let me pull from this deck and see what else pile 3 is bringing in. What are they unlocking? Getting back to integrity. Wow, that's definitely true. And yeah, detox. That's so true. Me talks. Repairing the body, mind, and spirit. And you know, we do carry trauma in the body. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people have health ailments because of traumas that they've, oh my God, as I literally was saying, you guys are like clearing your mind and you're like a beginner. We get beginner's mind. And I think that's really the key, is like, so much of the time we absorb other things, even from like the cultures we grow up in or the family system or whatever. We take on these beliefs about what it is to be like successful, or what it is to be you know, a good person, or what we have to do. And it's so funny how those so wildly, just even within the same country. Like, I know I grew up on the East Coast, and a lot of people get married in their 30s, and that's like the norm. And then I went down to the South for a while, and everyone gets married at like 22, you know, and it was like, you know, people were already thinking on that. And I started feeling like, oh, should I get married at like 23, even though I don't think that's what I had ever originally planned. And it's so funny how that works. And then went back to the coast, went to the West Coast, where it's again kind of like the getting married in your 30s type thing. And then again, I remember telling someone that, like, oh, well, so many of my friends are married, and they were like, what? But like, and it's so funny how like where you live can affect so many things. And that's just within the same country, you know, let alone different places in the world. But we hold ourselves to such standards because of that. And it becomes so the norm. It's so funny when you're living somewhere and it becomes all you can think of is like, they expect me to do this, or I'm supposed to do that, or I'm not a success because I did this. And I think that's what's amazing about starting to clear out that family trauma, that cultural, not necessarily trauma, but attachments we have, is to start thinking about what makes me happy, period, what I want. It doesn't have to be what this person wants. It doesn't have to be what that person wants. It doesn't have to be what anyone else thinks makes sense, but it's what makes me happy, brings me joy. And a lot of times that's kind of going back to what you were like as a child, the things you did as a kid, what you enjoyed, what's always been a part of you. It's always been a distinctive aspect of you. And then, you know, leaning into that. And I feel like you guys are really doing that. A lot of you guys are going to have, like I was mentioning at the beginning, divine timing, right timing. And that's how God's timing works, is like when you get the go ahead, it's the hard part is waiting for the go ahead, right? I know for me, again, I know not to obsessively talk about the stupid grocery delivery, but I've just learned so much about patience from that, because whenever I'm like in a rush, I'm just like, I just need it. It's always wrong, bad, janked up order. Whenever I give the patience and I'm like, okay, I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll wait until I get the go ahead, and I get the go ahead. It'll be amazing. I'll be like, I don't even know how they got such fresh peaches or such beautiful lettuce. Like, this person like must have like combed over the entire produce section to find every single perfect item from all the different fruits and vegetables. You know, once you get that click of like, okay, do it now, that's usually when that's your like golden time. And what everyone says of like, well, you're too old to do this, or like, well, your time has passed, goes out the window when God's on the case, you know, goes out the window when God has given his approval to it. So I feel like a lot of you guys are practicing that patience. You're waiting for the go ahead. And when it comes, you're going to get everything, and it's going to pay off like a million times. And you're going to be one of those stories that people hear of like, oh my gosh, someone who, you know, waited. Like, I'm not saying for all of you guys this is going to happen later, because God's timing can be whenever. Sometimes a relationship is blessed to start at like 18 and, you know, teen love or something. And that is a beautiful relationship that's supposed to happen. And sometimes it's later. That's the thing, is it's God's time, you know? And I feel like for you guys, you get that. But I love when I hear stories of, like, you know, an older couple and they broke up and they kind of went their separate ways and they come back together and they're so in love. Or someone who had a relationship where she got treated really badly by someone or cheated on or something. And then she's older. Maybe people say like, oh, she's not going to find someone. And then she finds the love of her life. And those things happen all the time. So it's always knowing and trusting that, again, like I said, everything's happening for my greatest and highest good. And in due time and in my time, God's going to pay me back double, triple, whatever the case may be. And I feel like you guys really get that. So you're going to be rewarded big time. And a lot of this is because of your spiritual connections and knowledge and trust that the universe loves so much. So all your manifestations, I feel like they are going to happen. Pile 3. So I really hope this resonated, pile 3. Let me know if it did in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. So definitely let me know. And if you guys resonated with this reading, you can also check out my Patreon, where I post additional readings. I just posted one all about what's changing in your life. So it's a great one to watch if you want more clarification on this issue. And oh yeah, if you want a private reading from me, you can get one at my website, briarrosetarot.com. I'm kind of booked out this month, but I have some openings next month, so you can book it in advance and have that to look forward to. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, because I'll be back very soon for another reading, and have those notifications on, turn them on so you find out as soon as I post. So yeah, I will see you guys soon. I'm sending you so much love and light. Have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 4. So for your pick a card, you guys got Strength. And for your tarot, Temperance, the 7 of Wands, Judgment, the Sun, 2 of Wands reversed, and the 4 of Cups reversed. So a lot of you guys are unlocking some kind of movement in your life, some kind of forward trajectory that it feels like it's been blocked for a while. You guys haven't had a lot of momentum. Something that has been plugged up and stagnant is about to move forward, and you're about to have a breakthrough. Honestly, a lot of you guys might be kind of rushing around soon. It feels like this is kind of the calm before the storm, and there's a message here of kind of getting your stuff together and getting everything organized and in place, because when this breakthrough does come, it feels like it happens very rapidly and that things move forward very quickly. And you're having a little bit of a moment of pause to get your things in order. But for some of you guys, this moment of pause has been going on for a while, and you are so more than ready to have some movement and to end this stagnancy. And it might even feel very stagnant, like, okay, is this just how it's going to be? This is kind of boring. And it's like you're not even going to be prepared for all the quick movement and all the fastness that will be happening for you soon. A lot of you guys are going to be having a lot of fun, having things that you really enjoy with the sun. But the main thing that I'm getting is it is going to move fast. For a lot of you guys, this is an offer. This is going to be someone asking you to choose, to make a decision. We got the 2 of Wands reversed, and we got the 4 of Cups reversed. So I feel like you are going to be presented with some offer, or Spirit is going to bring something in that feels like an offer. Like it feels like, oh my gosh, I wanted this. Or it might feel like it just comes suddenly out of the blue, you know, something random where someone's like, hey, by the way, would you want to work for this company? And have you ever thought about living in like Bolivia? And you're like, no, I actually never thought about that, but actually that would be awesome. Or like, yeah, I always thought about that, but it was a dream. And like, wait, is this happening? And it happens really fast. So I do feel like there's something about getting things ready, getting things prepared, getting like, whatever this is, it has to be in order. There's going to be things that, like, I'm seeing someone line up dominoes, and then it's kind of like how you line them up, and then as soon as you knock over one, they all fall rapidly. So make sure that they're arranged in a way you like. And that's going to make this a lot easier, because I do feel when it happens, it's going to come down really quick, period, no matter what. It's going to be a bit of a rush. So the more you can prepare, I feel like the better off you guys will be, so that when it happens, you're not running around like a chicken with its head cut off. You're kind of you've got certain things in order, and it's still going to be a little bit of a hassle, or a, not hassle, but a rush, or some kind of a running around getting things ready, but it's going to be a lot easier when you have certain things prepared in advance. But for a lot of you guys, this is something you really wanted. Like, it feels like you've been in a very restful energy for a long time. Maybe even thought certain aspects of your life were over. Like, maybe you thought, oh, I'm never going to date again, or I'm always single, like I'll never find love, or oh, that stage in my life is over. I'm like older now, and I just don't go out, and I don't party. I don't have that many friends. And then suddenly you find that you're in this whirlwind relationship, and you're seeing them every night, and you feel like a teenager again. Or maybe you find a friend group, and suddenly they want to go out with you every single night, and you're really busy. Or you like are in a new job, and it's just very fast paced. But I do feel like a lot of you guys wanted something like this for a long time, and you were feeling a little stagnant. Like, things did feel like they weren't fully where you wanted them. Like, you were getting a little bored, or things haven't been moving, and you've been like, okay, is this it? So this is just my life now. Like, things feel pretty boring, and you're going to be glad, I feel, to have this new activity. It might feel a little daunting at first, and you might be like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to deal with this. I don't know if I'm capable to have this kind of activity. Like, I've been kind of in my cave for so long. Maybe you've been in hermit mode or something. But that's all, that is what the Judgment card is all about, is that kind of resurrection energy, and things that were a little stagnant coming back to life. And I do feel like a lot of you guys are going to be faced with making choices and decisions on this. And I do feel like your guides and stuff will be bringing this to your mind beforehand. Like, they're going to be like, almost like I'm seeing someone like nagging, or like tugging at someone's attention. So there might be a decision about, I don't know, someone wants you to open a bakery or something. I'm just thinking of something randomly. And in the months before that decision, like, you kept seeing advertisements for bakeries, or you suddenly became really into baking cookies, and you started like looking up random muffin recipes, and you're like, I'm not a baker, even I don't like to cook, so what's going on? But I don't know, I just feel really called to be baking. And then that offer for a bakery comes down, something like that. You know what I mean? Where you're gonna have a little bit of a premonition and a little bit of advance notice. But again, once the actual decision takes place, or once that actually offer is given to you, it's going to be very fast. And I feel like a bit of a whirlwind. So I do feel like there's a message to get your things aligned, because you want to have it be as smooth sailing as possible with this. You definitely don't want to have like a bunch of loose ends that you also have to tie up. You don't want it to be like, just complete madness. You want it to be like, okay, I have a lot of things in order, and I still have maybe a few things left I have to take care of, but a lot of the things are already done. I think that's just going to make things a lot easier, because I am seeing someone like rush around. I'm actually seeing, sometimes when you like have a guest staying with you, and like you kind of are like, okay, let me like suddenly like deep clean my kitchen or something like that. And it's like, whenever you can do that like a few days beforehand, rather than the 10 minutes before they arrive, you're gonna have a lot easier time. And you might even run out of time. You probably will, if you're doing a deep clean and like cleaning all the grout and in like the tiles, and like scrubbing things with a toothbrush. That's going to probably take a while. So it's probably not going to be able to be done in 10 minutes. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself the time to just get everything done. Because I do feel like when it happens, you're going to be also like, there's going to be a lot. It's going to be like more things come to the surface. So get as much planned out as you can now. And it might be paperwork, it might be logistical stuff, because I do feel like you guys have been in a waiting energy for a while, and like that door's about to open. I'm seeing a waiting room door opening. So I think that, yeah, it's going to be picking up. It's going to be very active, and you're unlocking a more active life that I feel like you guys will enjoy. Like, I feel like there's an energy here where you guys just thought this was not possible, and you thought like, oh, that that's kind of over, that passed for me. And now suddenly it's like everything's back to life again and everything's invigorated. It's kind of like you've been in winter and your spring is about to come. So just before spring, you start to smell the changes. If you live in a place with a lot of seasons, if you live in places that have like hardly any seasons, then you don't really notice, it doesn't change too much. But I love the places with seasons because I love the smell of the changing seasons. Like, how you can smell fall coming, but then also in spring when it's winter, everything is kind of dead. And there's just this smell that starts happening of like green, and you just start kind of smelling it in the air. Even before you see the green, you start just smelling something a little different. It just smells fresh and green. And then you start seeing those little shoots in the ground of like the little tip of the grass, and the tiny little like leaves on the trees just start barely forming again. And you just have this initial glimpse, and it's not spring yet. It's not full spring in blossom. And then usually if you live in a place that has a lot of seasons, it kind of sneaks up on you. Like there's one day when, you go outside and maybe it's been really rainy the week before, and yeah, you were seeing the green and you knew it was coming, but suddenly it's like absolute paradise. And at least where I grew up, there's a lot of flowering trees and stuff like that. So suddenly all the trees are in bloom and all the flowers are out and you can see more wildlife. And it's just like this paradise, and it definitely sneaks up on you. Like, even though you have glimpses, you're not prepared for just the number of blossoms and green and the strength of the sun. And so I feel like that's going to be is like, you want to get things aligned and ready and kind of prepped in advance, so that when the blossoming happens, like you have the room for it in your life. Let me get some astrology dice to find out what the astrological energies are for pile 4. So we got, oh my gosh, we got the nodes again. So major destiny moment for you guys. We got Scorpio and we got the 4th house. Wow. And Scorpio is all about transformation. Scorpio is all about that resurrection energy. I mean, they literally, one of their archetypes is the phoenix. So it really is about burning something to the ground and then getting rebuilt and then coming back even better, and transformational change, and carrying that change with us of like, okay, I went through that and now I'm this way, and I grew so much and I learned so much and I'm even stronger. And I think that's a message your guides want you to know, is like, I feel like this time you guys feel much more empowered than if this had come in earlier. Maybe you were like, why am I having to wait? Why are things stagnant? Why am I having to be in hermit mode for so long? Why do I have to have patience and be in this temperance energy? But it's because, things were being prepared, and I feel like you guys were growing and learning, and this is a huge destiny moment for you guys. It's being very guided by destiny. And with the 4th house, that can relate to family. It relates to the sign of Cancer and the moon. So you might have even been unlearning family stuff. You might have been unlearning like family dynamics. Like, we all have family dynamics, and everyone can have, a great family or a not so great family. But anyway, you always pick up stuff from your family, right? That may or may not be something you want to carry into your future. Even a great family might, there might be things you have to unlearn, or dynamics, expectations that are just different than what you want for your life. And some people have that more than others. So it can be a really intense need to unlearn, and a lot of things that need to be unpacked, or it can be like milder. But either way, I think it's always a good idea when we work through those things and kind of realize and reflect on like, oh, this is why I am the way I am about this, or I could change my ideas about this or whatever. And I feel like maybe you guys have been doing that, kind of retreating and processing, your beliefs, your values, your foundation. And a lot of you guys are building a foundation for, also relates to foundation. And yeah, I was going to say something else. Let me spin the astro dice again, because Oh, and I was going to say also, fourth house is related to the moon, and that is also intuition. And I feel like a lot of you guys have been very intuitive, kind of seeing someone locked away in a tower and kind of meditating, which is kind of the image they show me for someone, yeah, like spending a lot of time alone and just like getting into themselves. And maybe you've been getting a lot of downloads from spirit and doing spiritual practices, meditating and that kind of a thing, or reading tarot or whatever. But I think all of that is like paying off and has made you into a much stronger person. Let me spin the astro dice again. Can we get some astrological energies for pile 4 spirit? So, oh my God. And we get the moon. I see, you can't make it up. Yep. We got the moon. Okay, I just ruined it, but we got the moon. And then we got the 9th house and we got Sagittarius. Okay. And it's funny we got that because I was going to talk about that. I'm getting that vibe. Some of you guys are going to be traveling or moving. And so that was the other thing that I'm picking up on, is like, that's kind of what's coming to mind with like, it could be changing rapidly, is sometimes that's what happens with a move, is like, people plan their move, but every time when there is a move, like it's always, I feel like, at least for me, it's always like a last minute scramble. Like there's always like something you forgot to pack, or something that goes wrong with like the movers, or something, I don't know, crazy that happens. Like I feel like especially just with packing, you always are like, well, I don't have that much stuff. I'll just pack it. I'll start like a few days before, and then you start packing and you're like, oh my God, this is taking forever. And I didn't know I had like 5 copies of the same book, and how do I have so many crystals? I still lost an entire box of crystals from my last move, and I'm still mad at it. So I don't even know where they are. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that happens in moves, is you don't even know how something got misplaced, but it does. And so I feel like a lot of you guys might be moving. A lot of you guys might be traveling or moving, and you're unlocking this kind of new lifestyle. And I do feel like a lot of you guys would be moving somewhere with a different lifestyle. Like you're not just going to be in the same vibe of like whatever you're doing right now. If you've been in hermit mode, maybe you'll be moving somewhere where you're not in hermit mode, where there's more of a sociable energy around you, or a different lifestyle in the area where you are like out and about and interacting with the world more. Let me get some more cards and get some more information about this. But yeah, a lot of this is spiritually, divinely guided with that moon energy. So let's figure out what is piled for. Oh my God. And as I said, the Phoenix, you guys are having this Phoenix energy. I love when they come through and just like confirm everything. Like it's so awesome. But yeah, you guys are having a rebirth and you're activating it. And as I was talking about spring too, we have Spirit Guardian of Spring activation. Like this is like that. And that's that spring energy, is like, that's why Aries is the way it is, and it's related to the spring archetype, that beginning of the year. That's the beginning of the astrological year, and it is starting in mid-March. So that's the energy of spring, of that first bloom of the year. And it's not just like a peaceful, gentle spring energy, which we sometimes stereotype as spring as. It's Aries. It's like crazy energy. It's like sudden, fiery, excited to be there, and I feel like, yeah, a lot of you guys, it's going to happen quickly. It's not just going to be like the peaceful, gentle spring rain. It's going to be like, bam, flowers blooming, bam, suddenly the sun's out, bam. Like it's going to take you guys by surprise a little bit, I think, how quickly this moves, because I do feel like it's almost like your guides have been having you on pause, or I'm seeing something on ice, like just letting you chill a little bit, letting you rest, and it's about to happen really quick. What is pile? We got Aspen Spirit Courage and Standing Stones Passage. Wow. And I feel like this is Earth Spirit Stability. I feel like this is going to take a little bit of courage, because it is a very bold change, and it's a very sacred. We did get the nodes as well. So this is a very sacred like time for you, where you guys are truly, I think it is part of your destiny. It is part of this massive kind of movement forward in your life that I feel like is going to bring you a lot of beautiful things. And it is, possibly going to bring you guys some wealth. But I also just feel like one thing for sure that's happening is it's going to bring you a lifestyle you enjoy more, being more immersed in the earth, or why did I say in the earth? In the world, and really enjoying things and not just like staying away in an ivory tower and kind of looking at things from a distance, but really, feeling those things, intensely. And that is what earth energy is about. It is about, and that's why it relates to wealth sometimes is, because being immersed in this world, feeling the things that are kind of almost sensual pleasures in a way, or like the feeling of delicious food, the taste of a nice drink, the feel of something really luxurious against our skin. All those things do relate to like luxury and wealth. And it's just a great way, I think, to go through life spiritually. Like, we're put on this planet to absorb those things. We're put on this planet to pay attention to those things. We're not just supposed to be completely living in the astral plane and water energy all the time. So maybe some of you guys have been doing that. Maybe you've been in just a watery kind of psychic energy, just kind of like taking things in from the astral plane. But now it's about you guys kind of moving into like really experiencing it on a physical level, experiencing things and feeling them as a human, not just like as a celestial being head in the clouds, but as a human being, like I said, tasting and feeling and smelling and all the kind of senses, that's why we say sensual, because there's something really beautiful about using our senses and activating those senses. And there's something spiritual about it, in my opinion, too. But yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be more rooted in like the earth. You're going to be more rooted in like reality, not just maybe you have been in very kind of dreamlike cup energy, like head in the clouds, pie in the sky, dreaming and imagining. And now you're going to be like really feeling things and touching and tasting and all of that. But yeah, I think this is like going to be a really fun time in your life. Let me get some more cards for pile 4. Let's get some more cards from pile 4. Spirit, please give us more cards for pile 4. What are they unlocking? We got joyful music, inspiration, joyful muse, inspiration. Okay, so maybe you guys will be creatively inspired to do a creative project or something like that. We got netcaster, preparations come to fruition, many masks, the authentic self, and eye of the needle, intentionality. So something about you guys being more authentic as well, stepping into an energy where you can be more honest about what you like, beloved, radical acceptance. And like I said, you need to be making preparations, because we did get that card too. Oh, wow. Perfect storm, the courage to step into life. Yes, you guys are going to have this courage. Maybe you've been a little afraid or been having anxiety or not wanting to be out there as much. Maybe you've, with all the things going on in the world, you've kind of been like, I'm just going to stay in my like safety zone. And now you're stepping into an energy of really putting yourself out there, really being bold, really being unafraid. But you're going to have a lot more courage. And I do feel like even if you don't want to, I'm hearing like dragged kicking and screaming. So I feel like Spirit is saying, even if you don't want this, you're going to be dragged into it. Like, they are going to make you get out there and experience things. So don't dig in your heels, because again, I feel this coming on kind of like a storm, kind of like you can start smelling a storm beforehand. You can feel the air changing and like an electrical charge happening. And so that storm's coming. There's no way you can avoid it. So you might as well just hunker down and prepare and be like, okay, storm's coming. And I'm not saying a storm in the sense of like things going bad in your life, but actually a beautiful energy of like electricity and fun and excitement. I mean, I love a storm. I think it's like the best thing ever. It's so exciting when it happens, like a big summer storm. And I feel like that's kind of happening to you. Like, and storms clear out the old energy. Like when I lived in LA, the smog that hangs over the city just lifts completely after the storm. And that's what storms do, is like they clear out the old. And I feel like you're having a lot of things cleared out and a lot of stagnant energy go. And Spirit wants you to realize that life is joyful. Life is not just about intellectually processing it from like a little tower in the sky and kind of observing it from a distance. I mean, we can do that on the astral plane anytime. We come to this earth to be absorbed in it, to feel, to taste, to touch, to have our heart broken, to feel euphoria, to feel the euphoria of love, to fall in love and then have our heart broken, fall in love again, to like fall down, pick ourselves back up, to laugh, as hard as we possibly can, and then cry, and all those things. That's all good, right? All of those things are special and important and valuable. And so sometimes I think people can go through like a difficult situation, sometimes a trauma or something, and then they are like, I'm never gonna let this happen to me again. I'm gonna retreat completely. Like, I'm out. I'm not doing this again. So I'm never gonna date again. And it's like they're holding themselves back because they're so afraid of having their heart broken, but they're missing out on life. And maybe that's something you guys have been doing, or you've been in that energy where you've just been kind of retreating, and it's okay. We do get downloads from hermit mode, so it's not the end of the world. It's not like you are, being scolded by spirit or they're mad at you. It is okay to go into hermit mode and to kind of retreat a little bit. But I do feel like spirit now wants you guys to be out there, to be experiencing it all. You deserve a life that has it all. You deserve to have happiness and joy and love and excitement, and to have your heart racing and have a crush on someone and feel that electricity and all the good things that make life extra special. And so I feel like for some of you guys, this is changing your lifestyle up so that you're able to experience that more, so that you're not retreated away from things, but so that you're enlivened and you're living in the middle of it, in the thick of things, and you're experiencing it, and you're not just holding yourself at a distance. And I feel like it's actually going to be much more authentic to who you are as a person, because some of you guys, you have been doing the spiritual work, but it's not necessarily your natural state to hold yourself at a distance in this way. Maybe you're naturally an outgoing, friendly, extroverted person, but you've had to live in a way that's kind of introverted, and it's not really your vibe. And yeah, you've leaned into that because you're just like, okay, that's what it is. But maybe you'd actually be a lot happier going out. And sometimes I feel like in the spiritual community, we can make all these kinds of arbitrary rules about like, well, you have to do this to be spiritual, or you have to act this way, look this way, whatever. You can't be a spiritual person if you do look like this, but you can be a spiritual person in all kinds of different, physical appearances or cultures or whatever. There's no rule to that. We're all souls in different bodies, right? So I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is about like deciding that you get to be whatever you want. You get to make this life whatever you want. And there's no real wrong answer, except if you're doing something like really evil that harms people. And then that can have like definite karmic consequences. So that's a wrong answer. But as long as you're not harming someone, there's no wrong answer to living the life however you want to live it. And sometimes we know that with certain things, like it'll be like, be bold and show your spiritual side to people, but not necessarily like we don't have that same energy in the spiritual community for like, be bold and, join a sorority or something. But maybe that's what you really want to do. Maybe you really want to join a sorority, or maybe you really want to, I don't know, live a glamorous life in a penthouse. And that's okay for you too, And that's the thing is like, I feel like you guys are going to be more accurately representing what you want in your life when this decision comes down the road. Like, it's going to kind of push you into being more authentic in a way that I think you're going to actually feel so relieved when you start living this way. You're going to be like, why was I trying to fit myself into that box? Why did I feel like to have to be like, I think it's funny, like sometimes even when people are giving like, what career do you want to be? It'll be like, oh, I want to be a writer, or I want to be a songwriter, or I want to be this. But maybe it's not even about, sometimes I think because we live in a society that can be so like, what's the word? I don't know, like putting down of and rude and like kind of hateful towards other certain professions, like say being an influencer or being a YouTuber. People can really have an attitude about that, or really dislike it for some reason, and they get like enraged by it sometimes. So sometimes maybe someone's actually feeling called to put themselves out there just in a kind of public platform as an influencer, but they don't feel like they can actually say that because of the judgment of society. So instead they'll be like, oh, I want to be an actor because that's more legitimate and I can say it's about the craft. But maybe deep down inside, they just feel a need to share their energy with the world. You know what I mean? And so I think unpacking that is a really great step, and realizing that whatever you want to do that makes you happy is okay. And no one else has to get it, understand it, co-sign it. It's your destiny. It's your calling. You're the only one who can get that phone call. So who cares what anyone else has to say about it, really? And so I think for a lot of you guys, whatever this is, it's going to be much more authentic to you. And you're going to feel much more confident saying it with your whole chest afterwards of like, yes, I want this. I like this. This is me. And if someone doesn't like it, doesn't get it, thinks it's stupid, who cares? Because you're going to be happy. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be very busy with this. It's going to make you really fulfilled with it. And I think the number one key is doing things authentically for you guys, like making sure and checking in with yourself about every decision of like, is this authentic to me? Is this what I really want? Is this really the path I want in my life? Because we got eye of the needle intentionality. So really being clear with yourself about like using your judgment. We got the judgment card of, I know I want this for me. I know I want that for me. And there's no wrong or right answer. If you don't want it and everyone else wants it, it's still okay to be like, no, not for me. If you do want it and everyone else wants it, it's still okay to say, yes, I want it. And vice versa for all the answers. Like, it's okay if no one gets it. It's okay if everyone wants the same thing. It's okay if no one, like everyone likes it, no one likes it. The other people's opinions doesn't matter. It's all about your opinion, what you can do, your destiny. We all have our own unique destiny. And so I feel like for you guys, I want you to just be okay with whatever that answer is. Be okay with your calling for you. And then I feel like everything else is going to fall into place. And honestly, like I said, though, you really do want to prepare. We got this too. So get things ready, you know, make sure you're preparing for whatever this is, because I do think when it happens, it's going to happen fast. And you guys are going to love this incredible new lifestyle where you're busy bees and very active and have a beautiful life that is really invigorating and full of energy, full of life and beautiful, the sun energy with lots of activities and things you're enjoying. So yeah, I think that's what I have for you, Pile 4. Let me know how it resonated in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. So definitely let me know, and make sure to hit the thumbs up button, give it a like, and make sure you're subscribed as well and have notifications on. And if you want additional readings from me, you can check out my Patreon, link in my description for that. I just posted one all about what's changing in your life. So it's a great one if you need more clarity on this situation. And I post additional readings all the time over there. So definitely check it out, you guys, and join the fun over there. And I do reading requests over there too. So yeah, check it out. And if you want a private reading from me, I'm currently a bit booked, but I have some openings next month. So get your reservation in early and we can set aside your time for you. And it's always fun to have that to look forward to. So yeah, link in my description for that too. And that is briarrosetarot.com. So I'm sending you guys so much love and light. I hope you all have an amazing day. I'll be back soon for another reading. So make sure your notifications are on so you find out when I post, but I will be back soon. I'm sending you lots of love, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye.